The San Francisco 49ers getting some rest, a mini bye, watching the rest of the Week 6 action as we are the only winners in Week 6 in the NFC West. We got injury reports, Jordan Mason, latest on him, and the rest of our takeaways from Week 6 coming at you right now.
You are Locked On 49ers, your daily San Francisco 49ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On 49ers. Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker at BD Peacock at Crocky209. Thanks, everybody, for making this your first listen here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We love our everydayers, and we appreciate all the new listeners jumping on with us every week here on Locked On 49ers. We are your source daily for San Francisco 49ers football, so make sure you subscribe on YouTube or everywhere you listen to this podcast. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnNFL and use code, all lowercase, LockedOnNFL to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Pretty good week of NFL football, Croc. Niners win, obviously. They get the week started with a win over the rival Seahawks. Now own a piece of first place in the NFC West, tied with the Hawks now 3-3, have that first game win for that tiebreaker too, if it comes down to that in the NFC West. And then you look at the rest of the West, the Rams didn't play this week, Croc. The Cardinals got whooped. The Seahawks got whooped by the 49ers. The Cowboys got whooped bigger than anybody in the entire league, maybe all season long. Raiders, like anybody, 49ers fans are rooting to lose, I think lost pretty big this week. So Niners fans got to be feeling good right now as we head into Sunday night and then the primetime Monday nighters.
There's not a whole lot that makes me happier or more happier than a 49er win than watching the Dallas Cowboys loss and watching the way that they lost. I'm out having a nice little dinner date with the wife, got my eyes on the TV a little bit, paying attention to what she's saying, but, you know, I'm multitasking here. And all I keep seeing is touchdown Lions, interception in the end zone, Dak Prescott, Montgomery throwing guys around. Like, the Lions are good. They are a legit team. They can win in a physical battle. They can I don't even want to say finesse you, but we saw against Seahawks how Jared Goff didn't throw an incompletion all game. Like, this is a legit team, a team that, I thought maybe, like, were they peaking in the NFC Championship game? They weren't. Seems like they came back this year and they're even better than they were last season.
The Cowboys, I think the Lions are good and the Cowboys are bad. I think we're seeing both of those things right now. An appearance from Cooper Rush in this game, which is usually not a good sign. Didn't get to see Trey Lance, though, for the Cowboys. It wasn't that bad for them to go to their third quarterback. But the Cowboys can't stop the run.
They cannot. You see what the Baltimore Ravens did to them. And here's the thing about the Cowboys. The weird thing with them, they can look like that. I don't think, I want to say, was it last week when they played the New York Giants or when they played on Thursday Night Football? I didn't see this great football team, but they're this kind of weird team that from week to week, they can kind of look like they're clicking. And right now, a team that has 3 losses, you could look up at the end of the year and it not feel like they're a great team, but they're like 13-4. They are a very weird team. Then they get into the playoffs and they perform more like what we saw today than maybe in a victory that we'll see them get later this season. So I don't know what to make of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know what to make of Dak Prescott. Sometimes he looks like a $60 million quarterback, and then sometimes he just flat out doesn't, like he did today. A very weird team, and the 49ers get to see them in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, and looking at teams that you have to obviously play against and might have seeding against, might see in the playoffs, the Dallas Cowboys are one that I'm just not worried about at all right now. And they're 3-3, just like the 49ers are, but a very different 3-3. Cowboys have gotten torched multiple times this season, have big holes. The 49ers gave away a couple games. They could very easily be 5-1 right now. And there's a 75 point differential between these two teams. So the Cowboys on the season are minus 42 points. The Niners are plus 32, even though both these teams are 3-3. So built very different at 3-3 teams right now, in my opinion, are the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers. The scary moment, though, a bummer of a moment, and I mentioned it here in the chat, Niner Cowboy, the Hutchinson injury, carted off the field. And from what I understand, this is like a season ender, potentially like next season could be impacted by this. And their best player on defense, Aiden Hutchinson. So that is a massive loss for the Detroit Lions. And it's a leg injury. We'll find out exactly what this is, but I mean, that's a bummer. You never want to see something like a really severe injury like that to a star player in the NFL, even if it's someone that you're gonna have to be going up against later in the year.
Yeah, and Hutchinson, I feel like, even since his rookie year, he just continues to build on it. You saw what he was last year. You see what he is this year. This year has been really dominant. Watched him against the Seahawks, and I know they both had an amazing game against the Seahawks, 14 pressures. I think Hutchinson was kind of equally as good, or at least that unit of the defensive line for the Detroit Lions. So it is tough. Anytime you see a premier player in this league or a guy that's coming into his own get hurt early. We saw that with Nick Bosa after his rookie year, having to miss the entire season after week 2 is really just unfortunate for those guys.
NFC East, have at you says NFC East, not scary at all. NFC North is where the fear is for have at you. Is Washington the best team in the NFC East? Now they lost to the Baltimore Ravens, but like they're just putting together games where it's like the Commanders are legit. And, the Ravens are a good team. Both those teams 4-2 right now. But the Commanders, at least on the offensive side of the ball, can play a little bit. They might have, I don't know if this is a full Houston Texans CJ Stroud situation, but I mean, I don't know how you can't believe in at least Jaden Daniels and where that thing might be going for the Commanders, even if they are a year away.
I mean, it sure does feel like it. And some of the throws I watched him make today, I think it was the last touchdown. It was kind of like this sideline throw, like got it underneath the defender. I mean, this dude, he's able to make magic with his legs. We've watched him, just throw the ball. He has the league leading completion percentage right now. So he's been very efficient. He's pushed the ball downfield a little. And we got to remember, I mean, this is 6 starts into his career. This is a guy that is only getting more and more comfortable. Now, just like any other young quarterback, teams will start giving film on him. What does he like to do? What does he not like to do? And maybe that film watching will really take place a little bit more in this offseason. But right now, I think teams are like, look, we got to really get a read on what this guy likes to do right now, because he's causing a lot of trouble for these coordinators. And I've talked about his, the guys that he has around him, not the most amazing weapons, right? Like Terry McLaurin, a really good receiver, which I had an argument with my brother Donald. He thinks that George Pickens is better than Terry McLaurin. I'm like, George Pickens better than Scary Terry? What are you talking about? But I think he had a little bit of that liquid courage drink or something going on there. But just Austin Eckler, solid running back. He's good pass catcher out of the backfield. Defense for them, Washington, not great. But man, Jaden Daniels, just the pressure that he's putting on these opposing defenses, he is doing a terrific job. I'm loving what I see. And a guy that I actually watched when he was in high school. Man, I went to the California State Championship game. My brother Donald, who I just referenced, played on the same high school team as Jaden Daniels. So I watched Jaden Daniels in the state championship up at Sac State when he was in high school. Very talented, young, skinny quarterback. He's still skinny and still making the same kind of plays.
Your brother Donald also says that Brock Purdy isn't any good, too.
Yeah,
so
we just have to dismiss a lot of his takes.
He has some interesting takes there, that guy. And your other brother, your real brother, is a Cowboys fan too. So I'm guessing that the Crocker family text threads are going off right now, or do you stay silent on this? Do you not need to say anything at a time like this?
Oh no, we attacked them. I told them that the Cowboys need to throw away those blue jerseys and never wear them again. As you guys know, Dallas Cowboys, they always wear their white uniforms. On a special occasion like Thanksgiving, they might wear a different uniform. Today they wore the blue at home. They never do that. And they may not need to do that ever again this season, because that was just a disastrous of a showing. And I want to say it was on like Jerry Jones' birthday. That was a great birthday present for Jerry Jones, an ass whooping. That was terrible.
All right, we'll get in a little bit more of the Niners. We got some injury reports, including Jordan Mason's AC sprain, what that means for him, and getting you ready for week 7 of 49ers action as well. Get into the chat a little bit today as we finish this NFL Sunday of week 6 football. Next. Today's episode of Locked On 49ers brought to you by Hims. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay and last and give you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments like chewable hard mints and Viagra, Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. So start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's Hims, HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. Hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable, compounded products, which are not approved by or verified by the safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan. This episode is also brought to you by Hillsdale College, and time is our most precious commodity. So don't waste it scrolling through the same mind-numbing content for hours and hours. How can you spend it wisely and improve yourself? Well, our sponsor, Hillsdale College, is offering more than 40 free, that's right, free online courses. And we're talking like courses including history, philosophy, religion, literature, politics, economics, fine arts, mathematics, and natural sciences. And how about this for fine arts? The history of classical music, Pythagoras through Beethoven, and mathematics and natural sciences. Courses like the great principles of chemistry, mathematics and logic from Euclid to modern geometry. So get your learn on instead of scrolling mindlessly. And you can find that at Hillsdale College. And all you got to do is go to hillsdale.college, hillsdalecollege.edu, hillsdale.edu/lockedon to enroll. There's no cost and it's easy to get started. That's hillsdale.edu/lockedon to register. Hillsdale.edu/lockedon. All right, Croc, let's get into the nitty gritty about the San Francisco 49ers. And we'll talk a little bit more about what else we saw NFL Sunday, big picture, zoom in, whatever you guys want to get into in the chat. Let us know here. After 6 weeks of NFL football, almost done. There's a couple of primetime games to go here as of this recording. So according to the 49ers, it is running back Jordan Mason that suffered a AC joint sprain, but that is considered minor, which I think is good news. And according to, let's go to Dr. Nirav Pandya, who's local UCSF doc, and he's always really good with the sports injury takes, and I always like to find out what the injury doctor or the internet doctors say compared to what the team says and what this might look like for a recovery. And good news, because if it's grade 1 minor strain in general, about 7 to 10 days. And guess what? The Niners play 10 days from when that injury happened. So 7 to 10 days is right on for potentially getting Jordan Mason back from his AC joint sprain. Did you know, though, Croc, that the AC joints stands for two joints? One is the acromion, and the other one is the clavicle. AC. Did you know that?
Absolutely not.
I did not either. I thought the AC joint was, I didn't even. This is how stupid I am. It doesn't even dawn on me. It's a joint. Of course, it's two things meeting together, but like I don't even think of the body like that. I'm like, AC joint must be one thing. It's like, oh no, it's a joint where two things meet, right? So it's the acromion and the clavicle in the shoulder. So that makes sense now. And return to play is based on resolution of pain, return of full motion, and full strength in general. Minor grade 1 AC sprains take 7 to 10 days for recovery. So I think that's good news for what it could have been for Jordan Mason. It's probably good news that they allowed him to come back on the field, even though he ended up only carrying the ball, one time in the second half.
I think this is why you never hear me, talk about injuries, especially injuries that I've never had, because I thought the AC and AC joint was like the same AC, like ACL, where that's like your anterior crucial.
Yeah, anterior cruciate ligament. Yeah.
Ligament. Yeah, a lot different. But I saw him trying to work it. He was. Did you guys watch that? Like, did you see him on the sideline trying to work through it? He's pumping his arms, trying to loosen up whatever's going on. He's like, gosh, what the heck is this? Let me try to run this off real quick on the sideline. Had his helmet on. He looked like he was ready to go. But obviously there was some kind of pain that limited him from continuing to go in that game. I'm pretty sure the people that are on PrizePicks, which, our Thursday shows are sponsored by PrizePicks, they're probably upset because if you get hurt in the first half, they will waive that player. And it's like he never played. But if you get hurt in the first half and then you come back and you play in the second half, which he only played one play in the second half, now it counts for the entire game. They're like, come on, man.
And he didn't get it. All he probably needed was one more carry, too, to hit the more than on PrizePicks.
Yeah.
Which was like 80 yards, and he had 70-something yards last week. But yeah, got to get him back without McCaffrey, who's, I think they're talking about early November as potentially being the return date for him. So probably, after the bye, which makes sense. And so Grindo had the long run, which is nice, but, he was untouched on that play. And I've talked about how there's like, okay, slow your roll on Grindo. It was a nice run. He obviously has some speed, not quite Mostert speed, but a lot of good speed. Some difference of opinion on whether or not he slid or actually got caught by Witherspoon at the end of that run. But
he said that he okay, so hold on, let's talk about it, because you and I thought, and especially me, I thought he purposely went down to make the other team have to run more time off the clock. And I was like, man, that's actually smart. I would have told him, hey, go score your first NFL touchdown. But he slid. All right. Then come to find out, he did not slide on purpose, and his coach actually would have told him, no, score the touchdown. We're good. We go up 2 scores. We're good. If you're only up, maybe like, maybe you're not up. Maybe it's a tie game and you go and score. You don't want to give the opponent more time on the clock and to potentially go down and score. That wasn't the case. 49ers were already up. If he scores, now they're up multiple touchdowns, which Juszczyk said, well, I'll take the touchdown. But he slid. He said he tripped or something. He didn't even slide. He didn't do it on purpose. And I'm like, he looked like he maybe ran out of gas then.
I think he did run out of gas because you could, like, if you're a 4-3 guy, you shouldn't be looking over your shoulder like he did. Like, he was looking over his shoulder like he expected to get run down, which was weird for a fast guy. A fast guy should just be like, I'm gone. Nobody's catching me. And then I think Witherspoon did get him, but it also looked like he was like, well, maybe I will slide. And he said the guys on the sideline were telling him to slide. And then he did get caught and then got tripped up. And then so I think he was like, well, I'll just go down. Because the way he went down isn't like how you normally get tripped up if you're trying to score a touchdown, because you'd be going head first and you end up going feet first, like a slide. So I think it was maybe just all of those things combined. But who's telling him to get down on the sideline? Come on. This guy needs his first NFL touchdown, a game winner, 76, or it would have been whatever, 80 yards. And he didn't get that touchdown, and then he didn't even get to put it in the end zone after that either.
What is your confidence on him running against the Kansas City Chiefs? Because that's 49ers' next opponent, and their defense is really good. Their defense is really stout. You got Chris Jones and all these guys flying around. You got that linebacker, Bolton or whatever. I mean, guys that are going to fly around, they're going to hit you in the mouth. And right now, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are known for their offense, is really their defense that's kind of, I don't want to say carrying the team, but that 5-0, I think their defense has a little bit more to do with it than the offense and Patrick Mahomes. So when you're thinking of a guy like Grindo, and outside of the really long run throughout his touches so far in the NFL, not a whole lot of bright spots. Not a guy that looks like he has a great feel for it. I thought he started to get a little bit more comfortable even before that big run, but there hasn't been a whole lot of daylight for him. And watching him in college, that was one thing that we noticed. He can hit a hole if it's blocked up, and he can spring out of there, and he can use that speed to get out in the open field. But there's a reason why he was not Louisville's starting running back. There were guys that ran the ball better than him. And I think the 49ers looked at it, 6'1", 6'2", 220 pounds, runs a 4.3. Hey, this guy can be beneficial to some extent. Can he be beneficial to carry the load for the 49ers? Or are they going to need Patrick Taylor to step up in maybe that role where he gets more of the touches? Or is it going to be Deebo Samuel? I think these are questions that I think a lot of people are going to have.
I think we're going to see that two-headed monster, and that's kind of where I was going with that, because it would be nice to have Jordan Mason out there, because I don't know if you trust right now Grindo getting the full complement of snaps at running back. So I think it would have to be a wide back. I think Patrick Taylor would work into. I wonder if Patrick Taylor would kind of like leapfrog Guerendo potentially. And, maybe there's, maybe, and you're right, maybe Guerendo sort of, getting there, figuring it out. And as he gets more carries, will be more comfortable in the system and kind of understand where he needs to be. And, but vision's kind of been a question with him. And it's nice to see him be able to spring one when he's untouched, but he's not going to be untouched every time. He's going to have to win dirty with some of those runs. And Jordan Mason's really good at that. And, even Jordan Mason's not even as good as Christian McCaffrey is at finding those holes, knowing exactly where to be, pushing the leverage he needs to, going off the perfect guy's hip. That's like the 49ers run game is really a well orchestrated thing. And so you'll probably see a mixture of guys, including a lot of wide back Deebo Samuel, if Jordan Mason's not out there Sunday.
In the chat right now, Hatvatya says Guerendo and Taylor, can they catch? That would limit the offense if they can't. And I think that is a big question mark for Taylor. Guerendo actually was a receiver initially, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe because of his body and his frame, it's like, oh, well, let's go play running back at Wisconsin. And played running back, didn't quite work there, transferred to Louisville and had a reserve role there. He was more of a spellback. But this is a guy who does have a background playing the receiver position. So I'm assuming if given the opportunity, he's a guy that can catch out of the backfield. Will he be Christian McCaffrey? Will he be Deebo catching out the backfield? Will he be even what we saw from Jordan Mason this year, where that's a big improved part of his game? I think that's yet to be seen for Guerendo.
And I do see some comps with Raheem Mostert, even though he's not quite as fast as Raheem Mostert, but he's bigger than Mostert. Because Mostert was, it took some time for Mostert, and it might take some time for Guerendo. If he didn't grow up, he wasn't playing running back in high school, right? So, there might be a lot more there. And that's probably what the 49ers are banking on. And then knowing that he's got some size and he's got the ability to catch the ball and he can be sort of a really good rotational running back that you draft in the 4th round, even if he's not like a true, every down back in the NFL, that's still very valuable, be able to be a kickoff returner and those things. But Raheem Mostert, remember, he was a wide receiver in college as well, but he was really a track guy and football was second. And so he was in his late 20s by the time he really took off as being a running back in the NFL after he was mostly just a special teams guy. So I think that is something that you can grow. And we saw Raheem Mostert grow. And then all of a sudden, Raheem Mostert in that zone scheme was really coached up and was really good at finding where the holes were and being that one cut runner. So just because Guerendo might not have, the most amazing, vision and ability to run right away in Kyle Shanahan's offense doesn't mean he can't develop that. And who knows, maybe more and more confidence, more and more carries, even as a rookie, we'll start to see more of that.
And you talk about confidence, right? And you talk about Mostert, a guy who spent several years on either practice squads or getting cut. And he ended up getting his big opportunity because he took advantage of special teams, being really good as a gunner. He was one of the 49ers' best gunners, and he had to be that before he was even given more of an opportunity to carry the rock. So once we saw him carry the rock, it's like, oh, wait a minute, he can actually be good at this. And then we saw his vision continue to get better as a runner for the 49ers, especially that following year after his injury, where now they're like, all right, you're kind of going to be our spellback, you and Jeff Wilson. Will Guerendo maybe have that type of ability to improve as quickly as we saw from Mostert? Or is it going to take him maybe being better in other areas before having a legit opportunity to have more time to improve, which, again, it took Mostert a little while and really a perfect fit in an offense to be viewed as what he is now and get the money that and score 20 touchdowns on the ground like he did last year for the Miami Dolphins.
All right, next, a few more notes on the San Francisco 49ers injury report and start to look ahead a little bit at the Kansas City Chiefs. And Croc, I'm not liking what I'm seeing in the chat right now. Not a lot of confidence in the 49ers going to beating the Kansas City Chiefs in week 7. We'll get to that next. The final segment of this edition of Locked On 49ers brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is daily fantasy made easy. And how about this? You can win up to 100 times now. 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. PrizePicks is the best way to get in on the action and all of the sports action you want in over 30 states, including California. Florida's involved, Georgia, yep, Texas, yep, all those states you can get involved. Over 30 states, PrizePicks you can play, and all you got to do, it's super simple. You pick 2 or more players. You pick the more than or less than on those stat projections at PrizePicks, and you can win up to 100 times your money, as I mentioned, with only 4 correct picks if you play them right on PrizePicks. And sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive that $50 bonus. It is guaranteed. So all you do is download the PrizePicks app today, use code LOCKEDONNFL, get $50 instantly when you play that first $5 lineup. Again, promo code LOCKEDONNFL at PrizePicks, get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That is PrizePicks. Run your game. I don't know how much we expect to see rookie first-round pick Ricky Pearsall this year, but his practice window is open, Croc. And we haven't seen a lot of cowing and Kyle's comments about, the rookie wide receiver not being ready. It makes me really feel like, especially with the lack of practice time that Ricky Pearsall has had, that, we probably shouldn't expect him back, within the 21-day window. The Niners will have a bye week. So he might be another, post-bye player. Maybe he comes back sooner than that and maybe starts to work in. But with Debo healthy, with Juwan Jennings healthy, with Brandon Ayuk healthy, there's just not a big role for him unless maybe they want him to return punts. Remember at camp, he looked very natural catching those punts at least, which is the most important thing. So maybe they decide, okay, we're going to suit up Ricky Pearsall instead of cowing and give him an opportunity to work in, maybe get a couple snaps on offense and catch some punts and start slow that way for the 49ers offense. But even if you have wide back Deebo Samuel usage, I think that a lot of that is just going to be taken up by more snaps from Juwan Jennings at wide receiver anyway. So we'll see if the rookie's able to make an appearance at some point soon for the 49ers. But man, the way the rest of the draft has gone for the 49ers, I mean, he's almost icing at this point. Pooney was, I think, the biggest block on that Garendo run, opening up a huge hole for Garendo to run through. We already talked about how the DBs, Malik Mustafa and Renardo Green got game balls for us in the last game. And Croc kind of watching a little bit of that game back. And I tweeted about this yesterday. The DB play, specifically the safety play, it was like, the Niners are leaning on young guys, a second-year safety in Jair Brown, a rookie safety in Malik Mustafa. And then you look at that 76-yard run from Isaac Garendo. You look at the catch and run from Deebo Samuel. And you look at the Seahawks safeties, and it was 2 different safeties, one on each one of those plays. You're like, dude, where are you going, man? On the Garendo run, the safety just comes and gets, that bad angle that safeties take sometimes. They come downhill and they're like, whoop, and then they just got to turn around and start chasing. I was like, where are you going? You got to stay over the top of that running back. He was not involved in the play at all because of his angle on Garendo on that run. And then the guy flew out of the screen almost comically on the Deebo Samuel catch and run for 76 yards. So, the young DBs in the safety play, and we talked a lot about it in the post-game pod, Croc, but it was really something that jumped out to me, how much better the Niners played on the back end, specifically because Witherspoon can ball. But other than that, the Niners really outplayed the Seahawks DBs against a really good group of wide receivers.
You talk a lot about these young guys and them stepping up, and you reference Pearsall, and it's funny in the chat, Havacha says, Pearsall raw, he's taking that over Bell with seasoning, right? So Bell, he's been out there, he's had opportunities. Havacha is not impressed with what Bell has given the San Francisco 49ers to this point. So one thing about Ricky Pearsall, when you pay attention and you listen to Kyle Shanahan, we know that he can be a little rough around the edges when it comes to the handling of his rookies. And it is what it is. Hey, they're either ready or they're not, or he's not going to play them at all until he has to. But there's something about Ricky Pearsall where it feels like he's had a little bit more trust in Pearsall. When before the gunshot shot wound, Ricky Pearsall, I mean, it wasn't like we saw him in preseason games. This is a guy that has been banged up throughout most of his tenure with the 49ers, dealing with a shoulder injury that he actually came to the Niners with, and it hampered him throughout training camp. And it was almost like Kyle Shanahan's like, yeah, it's whatever. Like, this guy's in tune. He understands what he's doing. Like, he was very optimistic about whenever Pearsall was going to be on the field, he was going to be ready for whatever role he was going to have. And that was for a guy, again, that we did not even see play live in an actual simulation game. So I think Kyle, who he's a little reserved when it comes to the younger guys, I'm curious to see what kind of role he has for Pearsall once he is able to return, because it sounds like he has a lot more confidence in him. He's speaking about Pearsall different than he is some of the other rookies, which again, very interesting considering the fact he's been out most of the time.
Yeah, early on, it was OTAs at the beginning of camp. I can't remember, but Kyle said something to the effect of, we didn't have to teach Pearsall how to be a pro. And he didn't. He just came in that way. And I think that was a pretty huge indicator that Kyle Shanahan might feel a little bit differently about him. Is there enough snaps out there for him? I don't know. We'll see. And obviously, someone's going to have to go. Does Bell go? I know there's some wide receivers that are banged up, too. Another injury could really open the door for Ricky Pearsall if that was to happen. But it's nice to know the 49ers do have a lot of coverage. And that Pearsall is recovering, and that practice window is open. Practice window not open for Christian McCaffrey, as I mentioned, and a couple of the other injuries. Charvarius Ward, that didn't play last week. He's day-to-day with his knee injury, which is good news. And it was a low ankle sprain for Malik Mustafa. He didn't play in the second half of that game on Thursday. He's also day-to-day, so probably a good chance that those guys will have an opportunity to practice and get ready to play potentially against the Kansas City Chiefs. How about this in the chat? The 49ers fans are not confident, Croc, right now, that the Niners are going to go beat the Kansas City Chiefs next week after their mini bye. The Chiefs get the full bye, by the way. Niners get the mini bye. The 49ers 2024 says, I don't see us beating the Chiefs. I like this one. Sketch Etch says, Pooney versus Jones. Time to see how good the rookie really is. That's going to be a really fun matchup. And I mean, Chris Jones is one of the best.
Can you know how good a rookie is when he's going against a player of that caliber? Like, do you watch Chris Jones dominate Pooney and be like, Pooney just can't cut it at the NFL level?
I think there's not. I think the only way you learn something is if Pooney is like really good against him. Then you're like, oh my God, this guy really might be something, because you expect Pooney to take his lumps. And really, look, Chris Jones had some big plays in the Super Bowl, but it wasn't because he was beating guys straight up. Can we get the calls right? Can we be on the same page? Can we not have those protection busts? That was what really hurt the 49ers more than just Chris Jones being a monster. And then when you don't block a guy and he's a monster on top of that, then you're really in trouble.
Yeah. He is a game wrecker. And whether it's in the run game, in the passing game, he's a disruptor. 49ers are kind of used to dealing with guys like that because you had Aaron Donald. Now, you did have the Aaron Donald stopper with Daniel Brunskill, no longer on the 49ers. But you're kind of used to knowing the impact that guy can have. And that's with any great player that is on the opposing team. We've seen great edge rushers. You have to understand how to play around that, how to play around knowing that someone's going to disrupt it. Maybe change up your game plan a little bit, maybe more quick hitters with Jones being there in the middle. And sometimes he's rushing on the outside. Like it's like sometimes it's like, is he a 4-3 end? Is he a 3-tech guy? They kind of play him a little bit all over at times, sometimes even more on the outside. So where is he going to be lined up? And then how do we game plan against what they are trying to do with him? And you run the opposite way. You bootleg maybe the opposite way. There's times with guys like that where you leave them unblocked on purpose to try to get something else going another direction and make him have to pick in space. We've seen Kansas City actually do that a good amount of times with Nick Bosa. All right, we're going to throw a screen, or we're going to get this guy on the edge, and we're going to make Nick Bosa have to stop his feet, and he's going to have to play in space. Maybe that's not his strongest suit, right? What areas of Chris Jones, a dominant defensive player, what areas of his game can you potentially attack? And the 49ers are going to have to really try to do that, whether it was with Dominic Pooney, doubling him, or, throwing different guys at him.
Tony says Niners are due for a win against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not going to say that I don't think the 49ers should win or don't want the 49ers to win the game, but it's that game in February that's most important. Like, you don't want to do the thing where, we beat him in the regular season and then still lose to him in the postseason, right? And so I wonder if there might be some gamesmanship between these two teams, not maybe showing everything they could potentially, especially from the Kansas City side, who's banked a bunch of wins. They're 5-0. Maybe they don't show Kyle everything that they're going to show him this next time if they happen to play each other again in the Super Bowl.
I think if you are a 49er, you have to win this game just so you know you can beat them. Right now, the 49ers don't know if they can beat them or not. They've lost to them every time, right? So when you're losing to a team like this and Andy Reid just has you by the you-know-what, and he's having his way with your team, and he's figuring out, and even when you think you got him and you're celebrating in the end zone because there's 7 minutes left in the game and you're up 10, you think you win, and he's just like, calm, cool, collected. My quarterback's going to make a few throws, and it's going to change the trajectory of this ball game. Or you're up in another Super Bowl, up 10 against this team, and it's like there's no flat with them. And even if the game goes to overtime, we know what we're doing. We're not playing for a tie. Like this is, it's almost like they're playing mind games with Kyle Shanahan. Andy Reid is, and he's kind of like that Jedi master. And now Kyle Shanahan is going to have to figure out how to get over that, because it's in all the fans' minds, everything that's going on. We've seen the 49ers blow leads this season. We've seen them blow leads in big games against this guy. Is it creeping into Kyle Shanahan's mind as well? Does Kyle Shanahan start to change the way he calls plays against Andy Reid and the Kansas City Chiefs? Does he get a little tight? Those are things that I'm curious to see. So I think even if you are the 49ers playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, and yes, it's more important to win in February, but do you have a little something to prove to yourself here in October? I think so.
I think it's well said, proving it to themselves. And the thing I don't like about the Jordan Mason injury is I don't want Kyle to get too cute against the Kansas City Chiefs and really lean too hard into the passing game, because I think sometimes he has done that at certain points in the game and it's hurt him in those Super Bowls. And if he doesn't trust Garendo and he's like, okay, I'm gonna put together this other game plan that's all based around, we're just gonna throw here all day and do all this stuff, and then I don't know. I want to see the 49ers go out there and push them around a little bit. That's what I would like to see. To see the 49ers bully the Kansas City Chiefs a little bit and then just finish the job. Even if it's a regular season game, I think that would go a long way to proving to themselves and the fan base too, and just proving to everybody, like, yeah, okay, now we can beat this team. We know how to do it. And if we have to do it again, we can do it again.
Yeah, even for a team that isn't playing, it's weird because they're 5-0, but when you watch the games, they look beatable. But that's one thing that good teams do. They figure out how to win, even when they're not at their best. So like the 49ers right now, it's clear going through some things defensively, trying to, maybe learn a little bit different from a coach, right? Like different coaching styles, what to do with certain position groups and whatnot. And you've seen the 49ers drop a couple games, a little fumble here and there, right? Knowing how to close those games out. Well, Kansas City, while they're still trying to figure everything out, and we've seen them do this early in season where it looks like, Kansas City, it ain't the same team, but they actually lose some of these games right now. While they're figuring things out early and the style of play that they're going to have to play, they're winning those games. So, yeah, they aren't like this strong juggernaut of an offense as, we saw when they had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in his peak. But right now, regardless of that, they're like, all right, we're going to figure these things out. Okay, we lost Rashee Rice for the season. We're going to figure these other things out. Who's going to be the guys? But they're winning along the way of figuring out. I think that says a lot about Andy Reid. I think that says a lot about Mahomes, and it clearly says a lot about the defensive coordinator and that defense.
Absolutely. Ian in the chat says we still have the Lions and Bills to go as well. And yeah, heck of a schedule ahead for the San Francisco 49ers. You got the Kansas City Chiefs coming up after the mini bye. You got the Dallas Cowboys, then the legit bye, still the Lions and the Bills on the schedule. A lot more against all the NFC West teams, including the Seattle Seahawks as well. So it's going to be a fun run down the stretch the rest of the way. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking PFF. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty of PFF charting, PFF grades on the San Francisco 49ers. Dalton Wasserman is going to join us on tomorrow's podcast to break down some of that stuff, including Brock Purdy, to answer the question if he is elite. And judging by the stats, I think PFF is going to be on board with how good Brock Purdy is and the rest of these San Francisco 49ers. So make sure you're all subscribed up on YouTube and everywhere you listen to your podcast. Croc and I back tomorrow right here. Locked On 49ers.
Subscribe to this video.